learn about how this technology is revolutionizing the energy industry. So I think it's a classic example, if you're not careful, of how you can sensationalize things and lose sight of what's really going on. You should want your lawmakers to be educated. You should want them to go to the source of information, because believe me, in Juneau, people will tell you exactly what they think you should hear. And I'm already getting backlash from that. It's interesting that there are a lot of people in this state for many decades that haven't wanted this technology to come forward for a variety of reasons. And so I just thank you for giving me a chance to talk about it. Bill and I are very excited. We're grateful that we flew all that way. It was exhausting, it was rewarding, and I think it will pay off big dividends for this state.
Well, I think regardless of if people are, believe in clean coal or not, or coal gasification, or how we're going to deal with our natural gas, wherever it is, whatever these issues are, I think we all know at the end of the day, people are cold and it costs a lot to stay warm. Boom, done. Okay, so what are we going to do? And as educators, we want them to have continuing education. The people that are teaching our kids, art classes, to keep their accreditation, they have to do continuing education. I know you've been on other trips. I assume both of you have gone on different trips. Now these are paid by multiple. What are some of the trips that you've been on that have been beneficial, you think, to your constituents or to the state? Charisse?
Well, I've been on a lot of trips. I spent.
Did you go to Disneyland?
If you call Dillingham and Bethel Disneyland, yes, then I have been to Disneyland.
I've been to Disneyland as Juneau.
Just because Goofy greets you at the door.
I mean, both the Senate and the House have been, in the 90-day session, we have been more active this session. I can tell you from my experience as just my short time working with the legislature and being a legislator, so we have reached out to more Alaskans. We have educated ourselves about more issues. You probably have the smartest legislature right now, from education, from being around the state, seeing how other parts of the state live. We went to 12 different places in Alaska, just the House committee, and I think the Senate was probably with us on more than half of those. I've been down to Washington, D.C. to learn about FERC and about the open season, about what's happening with the decisions that are coming out on open season, and what the AGIA process, the pros and cons, some of the unintended consequences. I've sat in hearings or some classes on oil and gas taxes. I mean, you want legislators to know and understand this when we go to make decisions about the future of the state of Alaska. We're all citizen legislators. We're not experts on every single issue. So where do we get that?
I'm aware.
But that's true. So where do you get your information? You have to grow
right, and if
your
you can
mind.
go to the source, or you
Right.
can go to these different places and see these things and bring it back to Alaskans. Like, really, I truly believe this. There is a group of people right now who want the dumbest person to represent them, because then they'll actually be represented.
Right. Well, and the thing.
I'm not talking, and
No,
and
but
I'm not talking about. I mean, look who's arguing that you would go and get education. Look who these people are. They're like, hey, I just want to have a beer with them. Really? I mean, it's that sort of mentality. It's like, no, I want somebody way smarter than me making decisions that they can, and talking to people who are experts. Bob, where have you gone?
Well, I have gone to Juneau, and that is Disneyland sometimes. But I've been to China with the Special Olympic team to wave the flag of Alaska up there. And I think it's important to support our people. I've been to NCSL, National Council of State Legislators, and I've learned a lot of these things. And I think the newspaper here, they're looking for a story at the beginning of the session to try to put people on the spot. They don't need to be put on the spot. I think if you vote for somebody for legislature or governor or anything else, you ought to trust the people that you vote for. And if they don't trust us, then vote for somebody else. But I think the trips that, at least the ones that I know of with my colleagues here and other people, have been legitimate trips, and they've served a useful purpose. And I remember my very first customer, quote unquote, when I got elected, a woman came into my office down in Juneau. She wanted to talk about body piercing and tattooing. And I'm just, what's this? 15 seconds later, my second quote customer comes in and wants to talk about the gas pipeline. And I'm thinking, there's a lot of stuff that's going on.
Let's not pierce the pipeline.
Don't pierce the pipeline.
I want a tattoo of the pipeline right down my back.
When you look at the variety of things that we vote on,
right,
it's just incredible. And we can't be experts in all these things, but we educate ourselves as best we can. in all manner of ways. One of the ways is to go to the source where some of these things are happening, like these ladies did.
Well, I think that, you know, you said something that struck a chord with me, which is that if you vote for someone, you should be able to trust them. And you want to think that. But the system wasn't set up for, in trust or faith. I do not have any faith in Obama any more than I have in any of you. I count on something called checks and balances. And the Constitution is set up that way. We have, you know, a House and a Senate and an executive. We need to have that. And the reason is that we're all fallible. We all make mistakes. We all fudge it. We all try to figure out how, you know, it's going to be better for us. That's our human nature. And yet, do people fight that? And is that admirable? Absolutely. But, you know, this sort of trust and faith, we do have checks and balances. And I think that you know, it was really unfair what was put on you and Bill. And these insinuations were absolutely disrespectful. There is no excuse for it, except that you're both running for office and you don't agree politically on several things that these people do. And that's what it's really about. And it's really dirty. And anyway, and I know, you all know, I've been critical of all of you on different political issues. I think I called your office a few times one day.
Yes.
So
yes, you have.
So moving on, there's another, I just want to introduce this and we'll come back to it for a couple of minutes. There, Representative Wes Keller. Are you familiar with him?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. He's from Wasilla, and they put out a bumper crop of Republicans every year. No, you know, that's not fair. I still love Lida Green. And so anyway, he's put out this, he wants to introduce this bill, that anyone on public assistance will be randomly drug and alcohol tested. And I checked today, and the tests themselves, I think, are over $100. How do you feel about this on a, you know, the Alaska state constitution has such a grand privacy scheme in it. It really, really does. And so, I mean, how are we going to deal with this? And I think we got time for you, Bob, if you want to jump in. Are you giving it a thumbs up or thumbs down, baby?
I'm doing a horizontal at this point because I've not seen the bill. Now, that's not a cop-out, but let me just speak to the issue a little bit. I think folks are thinking that if they have to take a urine test to get a job, and then they give the money to welfare recipients, maybe they should have to take the same test. Now, that sounds good, has some good points to it. However, we have to be very careful that we're not profiling an economic group. You know, just because somebody doesn't have enough money to pay their bills and pay their rent and to eat, doesn't necessarily mean that they are on drugs. And so it's a profiling issue there that we need to look at very, very carefully. No, I do not want to have Alaskans' money going to somebody to support a drug habit. You know, that said, we had to be very careful on an issue like this of invading privacy.
Absolutely. And I think this. I think it's fair that we test any young Nigerians on food stamps in Alaska. How's that work? Just in case they're going to blow their shorts up in the Safeway. I don't want to see that happening. There's some profiling for you. We're going to come back after this break, and I'm going to get...
You know, the fruit of the bomb.
Exactly. We're going to get the rest of your take on this, because I think this issue is going to be the hottest button going, or one of the hottest buttons going in Juneau, because Alaskans are so private. So we'll be right back after this break. All right, thank you. Welcome back to More Up North. I'm Shannyn Moore. I'm just a girl from Homer and your television host right now. This is my favorite segment of the show because we take questions from the audience. It can get a little, well, it can get interesting. But I wanted to give you a chance real quick, both you, Senator McGuire, and you, Sharice Millett. What about Keller's bill? We talked about it for a couple minutes before the break. What do you think, Sharice?
I think, you know, on first blush, I think that it's going to have a lot of constitutional issues. I don't think that we can take one, like Representative Lynn said, I don't think we can take one sect of people that we're trying to help, that need the help the most, and test them for substance abuse, and then stop public assistance. And where are we going to put them? We don't have the treatment centers to help the people that need the help right now in the state of Alaska, where we're short beds and treatment centers. So what are we going to do with them? And like you said, what if they don't have insurance? So I think it is a little bit stereotypical to think that only people on welfare have drug abuse problems, because drugs don't care if you're rich or poor.
After the way I've seen things happen in Juneau and Washington, I think, you know, you guys are all being paid by the government. Maybe we should drug test our lawmakers.
okay with me.
It's okay, yeah.
I knew it would be, Bob. Bob's clean as a whistle. What do you, Lisa, this isn't about drug and alcohol testing, but I mean, right now, if someone comes in and says, I'm going to lose my trailer, my wife and 3 kids are going to move back to Wisconsin because I'm a gigantic drunk and I can't keep my job, right, and I have no insurance, right now he's basically told he's on what, 6-8 month waiting list?
Right.